What's up guys, it's Drac and it's time for another kind of comparison video, and in particular this one seems like a very fair comparison video. Now, there's some inequities, in particular the companies that make them have vastly different resources, but it's time to start talking about in the semi-auto flywheel pistol slash SMG category, there was for the longest time one clear, iconic, standalone, head and shoulders above the rest option, and that was of course the Nerf Strife. Why was this so iconic? Well, I'll tell you. To start off with, this bad boy is 20 bones. That's 20 United States dollars, or at least that's what it cost when it came out, and that's what you could pick it up for a while. If you were really sneaky and made them price match between one another, you could combine a buy two, get one free deal and a Walmart sale to get them for $6.67 right when they came out, which is about what they cost to make. However, those days are gone. Let's talk about it in the flesh. So, currently these guys run about $35 minimum. Right now on Amazon, the cheapest you could get a brand new one of one of the more recent ones is $50, which is a little exorbitant, but if you're willing to hunt around, you can find one at a rough retail of 35, 36 United States dollars. That's almost twice what they cost originally, but back when they were $20, they were the simplest semi-auto electronic flywheel pistol with a rev switch, a regular trigger, a magazine release, solid ergonomics, a pretty decent mag well, and a compact body that you could both holster as well as spin, or you could dress it up or down with a litany of different body kits that fit into its sling point, its bottom rail, or took advantage of its very cool in-strike muzzle attachment or its stock attachment point. This was a versatile powerhouse of electronic power with a ton of aftermarket compatibility for its flywheels, its motors, its cages, etc. Virtually everyone who does an electronic mod starts with the Strife. Unless of course you're old school cool and you started with a barricade like the rest of us crazy people. So for your $20, you get the base blaster itself, 6 of the worst darts on planet Earth, and a 6-round magazine. Most people scrapped this almost instantly and opted for either aftermarket or just larger Nerf magazines, the 18 sticks from the Stampede being in particular very palatable. Overall, a couple of lock removals, and this guy was a powerhouse out of the box. It survived the battery wars, and you could dress them up with trust fires back in the day. They had relatively robust motors that would give you about 2 HVZ campaigns before the trust fires lived up to their name and burnt those things out. After a lot of different aftermarket motors, in particular from the ladies over at Foam Blast, as well as LiPo technology, made popular by and large by Tom over at Foam Data Services in the UK, these guys are now not only as powerful as they've ever been, but also very stable in terms of their distribution of electric power into dart flinging technology. And it seemed like it was too good to be true. You could get that much power out of a $20 platform by throwing an extra $30 into it. But of course, like all good things, the price had to creep up on it. Because of course, the shareholders need their pound of flesh and the executives want to keep their jobs. So this guy creeped up to about $25, then it was $30 with accessories nobody cared about, and now it's just hard to get your hands on one. But you can pick them up for, like I said, $35 to $50 United States dollars. They've been knocked off by Hasbro itself a litany of different times, rebranded with properties like Fortnite, and then recently turned into Elite 2.0 garbage that nowhere comes close to the iconic power and ease of modification that the Strife has. Plus, just by virtue of being the first to market, this guy has so much aftermarket support, you can turn it into a Scar or a Chris Vector or any number of other, like, you know, rifles from video games or real steel counterparts that you might be interested in. And while that's certainly very cool, the overall beating heart system of just a compact semi-auto flywheeler is something that just can't be beat. You can't fake it, but you can replicate it. Enter the Spectrum being 20 United States dollars, coming directly from Walmart.com and being the Adventure Force equivalent of the Strife. The body sizes are almost identical. It's a compact flywheeler that delivers the hits. It's compatible with all of the same magazines, which is ultra sweet. Its jam door is on the side instead of up top, and the one terrible thing about it was that for some reason they put this monster muzzle on the front end. As you can see, this one has been modified. The reason that I'm using this and not a stock one in my video is they were so popular when they came out, and I guess Walmart just didn't buy enough of them that they were sold. And then they've been sold, they've blipped up a couple of times and then sold out again. I think right now you can pick one up for 20 bucks over at Walmart.com, but overall, they are hard to get your hands on. That said, this is the retail version of a powerhouse primary semi-auto flywheeler that makes the Strife look a little pale by comparison. I guess this one would look like it's roided out Hulk style if this one's pale. Anyway, jokey jokes aside, I don't have a stock one to show you, so this one has my de-resed kit on it, which just knocks down the rails, isolates them from the muzzle, and then gives you a sharp, clean edge here on the muzzle with a crown to go over it as sort of a muzzle brake. You can play with or without this. It's just an inclusion with the kit. This one has an aftermarket kit in it, which takes it all the way up to 170, 180 FPS. That said, out of the box, this one shoots about 30 FPS harder than the Strife. And that's partially because it has more go-go juice in the form of 6 AA batteries instead of 4 fit into this tray. It also is much more symmetrical. Although neither blaster is completely symmetrical, it's much closer than the Strife, which in my opinion gives it a cleaner profile. I don't like this angled pick tinny up top. I much prefer the flat rail here. Of course, the flat rail is in strike rail, so you kind of got to pick your poison there. I don't mind the side loading door. I think that it's very low profile, and I like that much more than I like the gaping hole that's left if you choose to omit the jam door on the Strife. Although when it's down, it breaks up the lines quite nicely. And in all honesty, it's hard to complain about the aesthetics of the Strife because we've had it for so long that it would be a lot like complaining about the aesthetics of, you know, an Air Jordan. This is the shape, this is the size, this is the style. It's iconic, it's effective, it's good at what it does. So this video is to address those points, and real quick, we should swap this one out for one that's been fully loaded and fully torqued, just to kind of exacerbate what this platform can do and then what this platform can do. This, of note, still hits significantly harder than this just because we've made different choices in terms of which cage has been installed in them. This one has a Nix cage from over at foamproshop.com. This one has a Magilla cage from the same place. They both have, you know, different amounts of money sunk into their modifications. This represents about $50 worth of modification. This is easily $250, $300 worth of modification, but I just grabbed a couple off of the shelf. I guess the one thing that I want to put to rest is that when this first came out, due in part to the fact that Hasbro has knocked off a lot of their own Strifes into these reskins and rehashings and really anemic versions of this masterpiece, is that people tried to call the Spectrum when it first came out a knockoff, and that's crazy. But I'll tell you what also isn't a knockoff, because they're certainly different in their own flavors and identities. So when some people try to come to me and tell me that the Spectrum is a knockoff of the Strife, I say poo-poo. For I don't think that this is a knockoff at all. I think that it's its own flavor and does its own thing very, very well. And you know what else isn't exactly a knockoff and does its own thing well? I'll tell you. It's the sponsor of today's video. These ironically named Noki Pros are not knockoffs, but a version of the, you know, of course, we have to compare them to the Apple AirPod Pros, which are to say that they're pseudo noise canceling wireless earbuds that sync up with your phone or other mobile device. They show up in a clean and crisp white package, not unlike their more genuine counterparts. Inside, you get a charging case that holds both of the earbuds. It charges them over the course of a few cycles, and then when you pull them out, they are also magnetically actuated in there, such that you can store them in your pocket like this. The rest of the packaging comes with, of course, a charging cable for them. Of note, the charging cable does appear to have a lightning cable connector on it. So definitely cross-compatible, definitely aware of what they are. And then there's a tiny little thing in here. If you happen to have itty-bitty ears or really big ears, you can modify the size of your noise-canceling silicone inserts. We're gonna go ahead and pull them out, pop them in. All right, so now that I look like every kid who drives a Porsche in high school, I can tell you that these are very comfortable. They do a good job of exactly what they say they're going to do, which is they are a wireless earbud, Bluetooth actuated, simple to charge, comfortable to wear. I've only worn my pair for like an hour at a time or so on a couple of runs, but by and large, I can endorse these. But the audio is clean, they're comfortable to wear. I've worn mine for an hour at a time, and I think that they're solid. The only point that needs to be made is that these, not unlike the subjects of today's video, are significantly less expensive than the main brand, the name brand. Whereas the name brand Pro version of Bluetooth wireless headphones would be 250 bones. These come in at a slightly more affordable 80 United States dollars. And if that's too rich for your blood, they have versions of the regular that are also further discounted along with a litany of different cases and other accessories. Nockies clearly seems to know what they're doing in terms of how to make cross-compatible manufactured products, and I feel like Nockies would definitely get along with Dart Zone in that they're clearly capable of making products that are cross-compatible and can run with the big dogs at a fraction of the price, which brings us back to the subject of today's video. Which one should you pick up? Well, the truth of the matter is, you should pick up whichever one you can get for 20 United States dollars. If this one's in stock, it is by far and above way better than this one out of the box. There's no comparison whatsoever between a stock Strife and a stock Spectrum. The stock Spectrum blows it out of the water in terms of performance every single time. It's a little bit more bulbous in the front, but it's a good looking blaster once you can either carve that down with a hacksaw or pick up an aftermarket kit that tidies it up just a little bit. The fact of the matter is that these days, with the success and inflation going on over at the mothership, it's hard to get one of these for 20 bones. And the aftermarket kits for this tend to be more pricey than the ones for this, which means you really have to kind of come up with your project's identity before you begin along one path or the other. It's very easy for some people to say, get both and make your own decision, but if you're really making one, flywheel class primary for yourself, it's important to set down the correct path initially. This is less expensive, has a very different kind of body geometry and design to it, and this one has, a 5-year history at this point, allowing you to do a lot more things with the platform. So if you know specifically that there's work out there based on a Strife that you want to replicate, there's going to be no substitute for starting with this body. But as far as, the quality of the components, the build integrity, the durability of each shell, since we're gutting them anyway largely on this channel and inside my audience, it doesn't matter. They're very, very similar. The main difference being that this one costs about half as much as this one's. So with that said, my personal recommendation is the Spectrum. I've been primarying this one in some of our backyard testing battles recently. We're looking forward to, in 2021, hopefully spooling up some more SE&C wars for you guys. But the Spectrum's been an absolute pleasure to use and primary. And while I always have a special place in my heart for the Strife, until we get some serious sales over at Target or Walmart or Amazon, I can't wholeheartedly endorse picking up one of these for close to $40 when at 50% off you can just start with something that's better out of the box. That's my 10 cents. My 2 cents is free. If you guys have an opinion or a recommendation for why you think one of these two is better, you should leave it down in the comment section below. And if you're looking to pick up a last-minute holiday gift or maybe just spend some of your holiday cash, this is definitely a solid option. I was pleasantly surprised by the Nockies. I think that they're just as good as the genuine article, and at the end of the day, not only do they fit in your pocket, but you have a lot more cash sitting in there with them. So I want to thank them for their sponsorship. I appreciate them picking up the tab for this video, and as always, guys, much love, blast on, Drac out.